Today, a special edition of Shooting USA. It's combat as competition. With 26 international teams of snipers, plus Rangers, Marines, even the Air Force. It's the International Sniper Competition at Fort Benning, with scenarios taken directly from the streets of Baghdad.
This is Shooting USA, reporting the stories of America's shooting sports.
This is Fort Benning, Georgia, the home of the infantry and the largest training base in the U.S. Army, with the Follow Me infantrymen standing in front of headquarters and the Infantry Museum recounting the history of wars to protect our freedoms, while today's armored units train to maneuver on 21st century battlefields. The Rangers train here to be the Army's elite fighting force, and they train snipers here. But this is not training. It's competition with 26 international teams of spotters and shooters here to compete in a test of their combat skills. And the first event makes it clear this competition will be relevant to today's war zones. This is a counter-sniper scenario with a platoon pinned down and taking casualties from enemy snipers. The instructors split the spotter and the shooter into separate positions on opposite corners of the shoot house, so only the spotter can see the targets. The challenge is to direct the shooter who's firing blind, well back from the window to protect his own position. But it becomes apparent the majority of the teams have not trained for this.
Okay, I see target at building 2, but I got there's a curtain covering up the target. Roger, I gotta wait for this shot to come up. Hold one. Get on target. As soon as it's open, take a shot. It's already blown out of the way. It's about 4 times or something as far as what I've seen. Can you just look out there and see if you see a freaking target in the red in the number 1 building? Because I do not see this freaking target.
But this urban challenge is mastered by the teams who trust their communication to take out the red targets.
All right, now behind those targets, there are
you need to count 3 doors to the right, and there's a doorway that's
halfway covered with a blanket.
Yeah, and there's a white target inside that doorway.
Roger, but from my angle that I'm looking at, there's also a red target.
All right, I got it behind the curtain. That's a good hit.
For the teams with the training, it's gone well.
It went pretty good. The talk-ons were really good. I couldn't see some behind the curtains, but he pretty much gave me a distance to go to, and I shot through the curtain, and I hit.
And now that all the teams know this competition will be quite different than in prior years, Sniper School Commander Mark Messerschmidt is hearing the reaction.
Some of the teams I've talked to up to this point say this is really good. They really enjoy the combat focus, and some of the teams who aren't doing so well, they really don't like it.
And the teams who don't like the combat emphasis are about to have an even more disagreeable afternoon with the Convoy event. The team is riding in the 4th Humvee on patrol when the lead Humvee is hit by an IED. Time starts as the team members dismount to fight their way forward using rifle and pistol.
What we've tried to do here is replicate what you would see in the tactical convoys that moves through an urban area, either in Afghanistan or Iraq. The situation is that the vehicle in the front, the lead vehicle, is hit with an improvised explosive device which disables that vehicle. The sniper team, which is in the trail vehicle, will dismount and they fight their way forward to where the injured soldiers are. The injured soldiers, by the time they get there, have already been packaged up in a skidco, which is a device that we use to conduct casualty evacuation off of a target. When the sniper team arrives, they'll take that skidco and they will pull it to the finish line, which is about 200 yards away. So basically what we're doing here is we're stressing them physically, we're stressing them mentally, and with the smoking scenes that we've created, we're testing their ability to detect targets and then effectively engage those targets.
For the British sniper team from the Coldstream Guards, this challenge is very much like their service as a part of the coalition force.
It's what one would typically encounter on operations. Most of the unplanned things we do start off driving down the road with nothing much happening, and you go from cruising along, reading the map, doing what you're doing, to lying on your belly wondering where it's all coming from. So that's how it works. This is very, very useful training.
And that's pretty much the same reaction from the Air Force security team. 2 sergeants who prefer we not use their names.
Our role is to protect Air Force bases and assets, and basically we just deliver any type of information that's valuable to the commanders and whatnot.
It's actually a very difficult course of fire. It's something that you don't actually encounter on training in the Air Force, so it's more of a helpful tool for us to come down here and compete against the Army and the Marine Corps, international schools and stuff like that, or teams. And it gives us kind of something that we can try to go for, because most people underestimate us as the Air Force.
The Air Force is hanging tough at the end of day 1, with every team realizing win or lose, they will leave the 6th International Sniper Competition thoroughly tested in their skills and their stamina by the Army Sniper School instructors. And there's much more of that realism ahead, with an engraved pair of Smith & Wesson 1911s waiting for the winning team as the International Sniper Competition continues.
Shooting USA is brought to you by Smith & Wesson, American-made, American-owned. And by Blackhawk, the world's finest tactical gear. Performance rules.
We have protected our neighborhoods. We have defended our shores. We will continue to uphold the right of free assembly and your right to keep and bear reliable firearms. Smith & Wesson Military and Police. Reliability for life and liberty.
In reloading, it's usually a choice between speed or precision. Here's a better choice. The RCBS Chargemaster Combo. The dispenser throws a 60-grain extruded powder charge in under 20 seconds, and the scale precisely weighs the powder to within 1/10 of a grain to ensure accuracy. Speed and precision combined by RCBS. The Chargemaster Combo at a retailer near you.
You're watching Shooting USA, awarded Best Outdoor Program by the National Shooting Sports Foundation.
We're at Fort Benning, Georgia, with 25 international teams of snipers who are now being challenged by more traditional events. Shooting in required positions on the 1,000-yard range, sitting with tripod support for both shooter and spotter. Then body support, prone. The Ranger team uses an across-the-back position with the spotter able to see trace while he provides a rest. The British team has a different solution, with Corporal Wayne Boskill providing his crossed ankles for support. Different solutions from different armies. And the choice of rifles is also different. The Army and the Marine shooters have the enhanced Remington 700 action with heavy barrel and adjustable stock. The Army calls it the M24. But for the Brits, it's a British solution. The Accuracy International in .308, the 7.62 NATO round.
The Queen doesn't pay for too many things, but this is one of the better toys we get. So.
Next, the combat emphasis returns with the Chaos Mover events, with movement provided by 25 enlisted men in the pits, choreographed to show, move, and then remove targets in 5-second intervals.
To simulate an urban environment, what we have is it's just a facade made out of cardboard. There's windows and doors. So the targets aren't just moving across an open field. The targets will present itself, then it'll go hidden, then it'll expose itself again on the same plane, just in another aperture in the building.
The teams are shooting from 300 to 600 yards, with 4 points for a hit, minus 8 points for hitting a hostage, what we'd call a no-shoot in civilian competition. Next is spotting and hitting attacking enemy targets from a defensive hide position, with the targets advancing on the Army's pop-up training range. Both shooter and spotter have targets to hit as the enemy closes on the hide position, followed by pistol targets, with the score determined by hits on the steel and the elapsed time, scoring like practical shooting competition for civilians. But civilians have never experienced an event like this. You're riding with a Marine team of scout snipers assigned to support a platoon that's pinned down under fire. This is the Urban Stress event, with smoke, mortar, and grenade simulators, and even Muslim prayer calls to recreate the streets of Sadr City. The teams are being delivered by Stryker, the Army's new personnel carrier with the steel grid and reactive armor that protects against rocket-propelled grenades and IEDs. The mission? Take out the hostiles, firing on each squad position. The targets can only be seen from the upper floors in the building. This event is both timed and scored for hits on the hostiles, with the shooter assigned the red targets, the spotter responsible for the yellow. But it's the shooter taking the final targets from a position in the attic of the 3-story shoot house. Then withdraw with one of the wounded on a Skedco, while suppressing hostiles with pistol fire. This event is so close to current action in Iraq, the instructors with combat experience say they're having flashbacks. But this is 21st century sniping.
The days of sitting there all day long waiting on the perfect shot are gone. What we are finding based on lessons learned from Afghanistan and Iraq is the snipers who are able to just jerk their gun up and take the shot are having the most success on the battlefield. So we've tried to surprise a lot of these guys by creating combat stress, combat focus type events like what you see here today. Woo!
Ready for more physical stress? Not combat this time, just physical punishment. Running an obstacle course with sandbags and more to get the heart rate up before shooting.
The competitors are going to run about a half a mile negotiating multiple obstacles on their way up to a 120-pound sled, basically, that is going to be pulled uphill by about a 3-inch in diameter rope. Then they move up and they do the pistol shoot. They will engage out to almost 50 meters with the pistol using multiple different positions, starting with the standing, kneeling, and then the prone. Then they transition to rifle.
And the transition to rifle is another timed run with a 200-pound Skidco and a pair of 70-pound sandbags to carry through the course.
By the time they get to the rifle, their heart rate is severely elevated. I would guess that probably most of these guys are beating about 200 beats a minute. And they've got a lot of stress on their upper body.
For the team from the Army Marksmanship Unit, Robbie Johnson and Jason St. John, the initial physical stress didn't affect their pistol shooting, but by the time they got to the rifle positions, they could feel it.
Pistol, we were there, and I think we got the alternate positions. I was just a little shaky.
Yeah, the rifle targets actually went a little shaky. Everything else went pretty good, I think. So we just done the best we could.
Their best has them finishing as the overall first-place team at this point in the competition, followed closely by the 3rd Battalion Ranger team of Joseph Lynch and Michael Rack. The teams to watch when we continue the International Sniper Competition with the M107 event, the Big Barrett, shooting out to a mile.
Shooting USA is brought to you by Crimson Trace Laser Grips, the world's only grip-integrated laser sights. And by Federal Premium Ammunition, because every shot counts.
If you're like me, you own a handgun for protection. But as I got older, aiming and shooting accurately got a lot harder. A few years back, I added Crimson Trace laser grips to my defense guns. The laser is built right into the grip, so it's simple to install and easy to use. You see that red dot, you know you're going to hit what you're aiming at. Stop by your local gun shop and try a set today. Or contact Crimson Trace to get a catalog and the location of a dealer near you.
ShootingUSA.com, your resource for firearms news and information.
This is the morning briefing before the next event in the International Sniper Competition. An opportunity to field strip, clean, and lube the M107, Ronnie Barrett's Big 50, now adopted by the Army. Each team has been issued a Barrett semi-auto, and each has plenty of rounds to master their zero and record their target dope to the tanks, old vehicles, and artillery pieces that are targets on the Fort Benning 2,000-meter range. Sergeants Bradley Atanasoff and Eric Anderson of the 10th Mountain Division have trained on the Barrett and employed it in combat.
It's got 10 rounds in the magazine, so you can put a lot of rounds downrange without having to work your bolt, or you can change magazines out instead of having to reload individual rounds. So that makes it real effective. It's a 50 caliber, so you got a lot of range to it.
And they're all going to need that range as the 50 caliber event gets underway. Each team has 2 magazines, 20 rounds total, and each has a target schedule, a map identifying the targets on the field, ranging out to the tree line, and the order the targets must be engaged. 2 hits are required before moving to the next target, with the sniper school instructors watching to score the hits, visible as small flashes as the armor-piercing rounds explode on impact. Andre Ash of the 10th Mountain Division knows the value of the Big 50 against suicide bombers in vehicles.
When we were engaging on, vehicle checkpoints, stopping a vehicle, not a problem, no sweat. But doing the job, it works well.
Sergeant Ash and his spotter have not worked terrifically well in this event, with some confusion about the assigned target order. And the British team is having some confusion about the scope settings. This weapon system is not the 50 caliber choice of the Coldstream Guards. That shouldn't make a huge difference, but the scope confusion has them putting their rounds over the tree line.
Yeah, you need to come up 15 and a half. 15 and a half? 15 and a half minutes of angle. Fine out.
On the other hand, the team from the Army Marksmanship Unit has their target dope nailed. The first target is at 500 meters, a relatively short flight for the 720 grain bullets, moving at 2,900 feet per second. Robbie Johnson sends 2 downrange and gets ahead of the judges.
Hey, we gotta wait till he calls hit before we can shoot the second round. Don't go so fast.
Oh, sorry.
It's the 110 that's in 2 pieces.
Yeah.
Put 2 plus 10 on the gun.
2 plus 10.
Aim at the right piece. Hold center.
Right piece?
Yep.
Hold center.
Roger.
Ready.
Send it. Send it. Hit!
With Sergeant Jason St. John calling the targets and the dope for the scope, the AMU team runs up the highest score in the event, 14 hits out of 20 shots, well within the 10-minute time limit. That performance should be no surprise. They both have extensive combat experience with the Barrett before joining the marksmanship unit.
I think we got a combined 11 or 12 years of experience on the Barrett, being from the 3rd Ranger Battalion, and working together and having the communication, I think, was the main difference.
Yeah.
Past experience and then the ability for us to have the confidence in hitting the target and already moving on to the next target before the round was even there.
Yeah, that's what we noticed. It was like hit one, send another round, right?
Roger, you know when you break a good shot, as long as the zero's on, it should be there. So you can go ahead and send another one to back it up.
That's their training. When you're on, send two. And the targets out to 1,500 meters in this event haven't come close to the shots this team has made in combat.
On a regular target, just a target in training, probably 8 out of 10 on like 2,400 meters.
You got any stories you don't want to tell, Robbie?
A couple.
He's got a few.
Stories you're not going to hear. But all the combat snipers who've had time on the Barrett in the war zones will tell you of their respect for the M107 as a very capable option when you need to reach out and touch something about 1.5 miles away.
Oh, it's a great weapon. I mean, it's, for one way, it's a 50 cal that's portable. One person or a sniper team can carry it, engage targets, support some sort of movement that's going on, and I mean, the lethality of it's just top notch.
And coming next, the Blackhawks show up to elevate the competition. And then the Stalk, and the shot that will determine the championship in the International Sniper Competition.
Shooting USA is brought to you by Trijicon, your source for brilliant aiming solutions. And by Benelli Shotguns, we are inertia driven. And by Barrett Firearms, defending freedom worldwide.
We have protected our neighborhoods. We have defended our shores. We will continue to uphold the right of free assembly and your right to keep and bear reliable firearms. Smith & Wesson Military and Police. Reliability for life and liberty.
You're watching Shooting USA, news and information for America's gun owners.
We're down to the final events in the International Sniper Competition with a pair of Blackhawks called in to elevate the teams for the aerial shoot. The scenario: 5 insurgents have been spotted planting IEDs from their vehicle. The orders are to take them out, firing from the Blackhawk. The range to the 5 steel targets is about 500 meters, firing at a 40-degree angle. A tough shot to figure if you're on the ground, but really difficult from the Blackhawk, even with the skill of the Army pilots who hold a very stable hover over the firing line. Both the shooter and the spotter have 5 shots from the bird, but hits are rare in this event. One of the international teams admits they've never flown in a helicopter before, let alone shot out of one. 2,200 hours, and the Blackhawks are back to transport the teams in a 10-minute airlift over several thousand acres of blacked-out forest in the backwoods of Fort Benning. The pilots fly a low-level evasion route to disorient the teams before they begin the night maneuver. At the insertion point, each team is assigned map coordinates of an area of interest. They have 4 hours to move through the woods, locate the objective, note what they find, and move to the designated rendezvous points. This event tests the teams in the other combat role for snipers, not shooting, but gathering intelligence. As time runs out, one team has failed to locate their assignment and is out of the competition. as the remaining competitors prepare for the last event. Shortly after sunrise, the teams begin the final test, the most traditional event in the competition, the Stalk. Their targets are 2 sniper instructors glassing the playing field, looking for any sign of the teams they know are moving toward them. The teams have blank cartridges to simulate a shot on the target instructors if they get close enough without being detected. The walkers are instructors used as human markers, directed by the target instructors to where they think they've seen a sniper.
Do a left face, inch forward, sniper.
Roger, what do you see?
I just see a black lump that wasn't there before.
If the directions are correct, you're busted and out of the event. Most of the sniper teams are using ghillie suits for concealment, and most are moving close to the ground, where not all the ghillie patterns match the surrounding vegetation. But the Ranger team of Rack and Lynch have a different solution. They've used their tripod shooting support to turn the shooter into a mobile bush, a blind. You're seeing them from the side, but they are undetectable to the instructors glassing the field, even after taking their shot with a blank.
That bush and stuff up there and vegetation behind me, I'll kind of get between it and make another bush pretty much. And so that throws a depth perception off. You want to find them as quickly as you can so you can make it, but as long as you make it look pretty much like a bush.
Natural veg is the key. Yeah. Like, ghillie out in the woods looks like a ghillie, so you can see neither of us have a ghillie on.
After all the teams have completed their stalk, the snipers that have not been detected by the instructors have to prove their simulated shot with live ammo on an 8-inch steel plate. At 215 meters from their bush position, it's no problem for shooter Sergeant Joseph Lynch. They win full points for the event, enough to put them on top in the overall scoring for 5 days of competition. Sergeants Joseph Lynch and Michael Rack of the 3rd Ranger Battalion claim the title and claim the engraved pair of Smith & Wesson 1911s as the champions in the 6th Annual Army International Sniper Competition. Congratulations to the Ranger team of Michael Rock and Joseph Lynch, and to the 2nd place team from the Army Marksmanship Unit, Sergeants Johnson and St. John, who wear the Ranger tab. And the 3rd place team is also from the 3rd Ranger Battalion. Makes it pretty clear, Rangers really did lead the way. And our thanks to the Sniper School instructors for a great event and for their help hosting us for 5 days of competition. Want to know more? We got it at shootingusa.com. For all of us, I'm Jim Scout. Until next week, shoot safely, shoot often, and share your sport.